All right. Chapter 3. We finished chapter 2 last time. Chapter 3 is all about cryptographical security. Okay. Which, let's compare it briefly with traditional general computer security. Okay. What's the difference? Well, computer security, which is what I've been doing mostly. Cryptography is fairly new to me. I mean, you know, the studying the algorithm. I mean, I knew like basics, but you know, cryptography is kind of the new topic I'm getting into. But I've done computer security, especially web security and some forensics, a little bit of reverse engineering. And I can tell you, computer security is all about preventing attackers from figuring out how to exploit your code, how to exploit your software. Okay, so you're basically also hiding, deceiving attackers. They don't need to find flaws, right? But cryptographical security, I mean, everything is in front of you. You have the plain text, you have the ciphertext, you have, you know, or you only have the ciphertext, you know the algorithm. So the point that I want to make is that computer security is unquantifiable, because you are basically betting on the it's a cat and mouse game, and you're betting on the fact that the attacker doesn't find any flaw. But cryptographic security, it's quantifiable. Okay, so let's not talk about computer security. We're gonna focus on cryptographic security. If you want some classes or some content on other niches of computer security, let me know in the comments. I'll do anything you want. I'll explain. I'll learn things. We'll learn together, guys. Learning is beautiful. So, cryptographic security. We said that it's quantifiable. Okay, that means I can quantify how secure. I can tell you how secure is my cryptographic algorithms, right? So we can calculate how much effort, right? How much effort you need to put to break some cipher. And it's also something the book mentions. I like it. Is cryptographic security is all about making well-defined problems impossible to solve. Okay, so let's start from the let's start actually from a previous definition, because we talked about cipher security before, if you remember, in chapter 1, I think. And we gave a little definition. Let's write it down, because then we're going to pick up from there. Let's go. And we said that a cipher is secure if so a cipher is secure when an attacker for an attacker I'm gonna write it like without for attacker, to save space I'm gonna omit some conjunctions. When cipher is secure when for attacker is impossible it's impossible to reach his goals. And we define security goals and security notions, right? We saw that attackers can have only the ability to passive attack. They can actively encrypt and decrypt. Their goal is to figure out the key, or to decipher or to decrypt the ciphertext. there's different, right? The whole topic about security notion, that's what I mean now, that's what I'm referring to by reaching his goals, right? His goals can be, again, decrypting a ciphertext, or it can be, or they can already decrypt every ciphertext, but they don't have the key, so their goal is to obtain the cryptographic key. Depends, guys, depends. What I want you to focus on is now the word impossible, okay? We've defined what attackers can do and what cannot do, but what does it mean impossible for them to attack, to break the cipher? What does that mean? So there are two definitions or notions of impossible, we can say. Impossible can be defined under the lens of informational security. Okay, or computational security. Okay, and you might have guessed the informational security, it means theoretical impossibility, so in theory. And this one is in practice. Okay? So in theory impossible and in practice impossible. Okay, very important different, because so first of all, let's talk about the informational security first. The informational security, guys, is like black or white. It tells you under the lens of informational security, it basically tells you, okay, this cipher is secure or not secure. There's no middle ground, right? And so, okay, there's no middle ground. And so it's unpractical, okay? It's unpractical in a scenario when we want to assess safety in some practical scenario. Let me write it here, unpractical. I mean, it seems like I'm kind of running around. This is practical and this is unpractical, obviously, right? Because it's in theory. But in, I would say, a real life situation, and then I'm also going to emphasize that is unpractical, but it's good in theoretical cryptography, okay? It's unpractical in a real life scenario, but good in theoretical cryptography. What about the computational security? Computational security, amazing for in practice. It basically gives you an assessment, a practical assessment. Hey, you have this algorithm in your web app, and if an attacker has to break it and go through and figure everything out, it will take him X much. So you quantify, it's more quantifiable. It will give you an estimate of how much effort the attacker needs to put in to break. Now let's keep talking about let's go back to the information security for a second. I'm actually going to divide the board into parts, informational and computational. The informational, again, doesn't tell you how hard it is to break something, how hard. It just tells you if it's even remotely conceivable. How can I write it down? Let's see. Yeah, concerned with. Well, I don't want to write too much. Okay, concerned if cipher broken. Did I mix up a few words and it doesn't make sense? Well, what I mean is that if it can be remotely broken, right? If it can broken at all, doesn't matter if it's hard or easy. Even if it takes a billion years, okay, can we go with this is the key, unlimited and memory. Okay, so again, informational security assumes that the attacker has unlimited computational power and memory, unlimited time, and it answers this question: can this cipher, can it be broken at all given these conditions, right? And if the answer is yes, it takes a billion years maybe, literally, if you run through the whole computation and take it. And so, yeah, so even if it takes a billion years, as far as the informational security aspect of the cipher, then it is breakable, okay? So as far as the information security does, even if you take a billion years, even if you need 500 supercomputers in a room to crunch those numbers, does not matter. It's gonna tell you, hey, according to information security, this cipher is breakable, okay? So I think that's all about information security. No, actually, let's give an example. So one example of a cipher that according to information security is safe is the one-time pad. So we make a little example section here. The one-time pad. Right? Here you need to follow a little bit the notes. The one-time pad is, we can say it's informationally secure, right? Because in theory, you cannot break it, okay? You have this, the ciphertext is given by the key XORed, oh yeah, it's a bad XOR. It's a key XOR the plain text, okay? And so it's secure because given the ciphertext an unlimited time to try all the possible keys and find the plain text, you still won't be able to find the right key. Why? Because there are as many possible P's as there are many possible K's. So for this reason, given the nature of the one-time pad, the fact that you're picking a new key every time from randomness, etc., etc., it makes it an informationally secure cipher. Alright, so this is about information security. Now let's go to the fun part, the practical part, right? This is what you're gonna use if you're doing a report, an audit to some algorithm, something. You're gonna calculate how hard is to break this cipher. Because a cipher can be broken, can be informationally insecure, but again, it might take so many resources and time that is not practical. So it might not be secure for the informational security side, but it might be very well considered secured on the computational security side. And that's what matters for our use, for implementations and for everyday real life use. All right, so let's go to the computational security. So if the information security is concerned, if the cipher can be like broken at all, I would write this definition as let me see, as I would say computational security is concerned with how did I write on the notes? Is secure if it can be broken in a reasonable time with reasonable resources. So say concern. I'm having a little bit of a grammar English moment. Concerned if cipher if cipher can be broken with reasonable time, and I'm just gonna say resources, which means computing power, process, or memory. Resources. Apologize. Differentiate a little bit here so they're separate. Okay, very good. Now again, it's concerned with if it can be broken, if something can be or cannot be broken. Again, the key point here is reasonable time and resources. Reasonable, right? Humanly possible. And this is what we said, that crypto security is quantifiable. This is what actually quantifies security. It gives you a score, a number, an indication, you know, a good approximation of, not approximation, a good indication of how hard, right? Not just if it's brokeable or not brokeable, but how hard it is to broke something. So let's see. Okay, there you go. So let's try a example, right? So we have a cipher E. Let's take an example of a cipher E that encrypts a plain text and a key, right, to give us a cipher text. Okay, so such a symmetrical cipher with and key is 128 bits. Okay, such a cipher is not informationally secure because theoretically, if I had unlimited time and resources, I could try all the possible k values, right? Now, what is the problem with trying? So theoretically, this is not secure because, hey, I can try, if I have unlimited power and memory and time, I can just try all the keys and I'll find it, man. I'll find it eventually, I'll find the right one. True, but let's look at this from a computational security point of view. And so let's put some numbers down. Again, so we want to find, again, one key under how many? If this is 128, that means that there's possibly 2 to the 128 possible keys. And so, are we really going to be able to try all of them? Are we really going to be able to try all of them? Think. The author makes a cool example. He says that if we're able to achieve a speed of, let me see, and we can try such as a speed of 100 billion keys per second. If we can try 100 billion keys per second, it will still take us, I swear the number is huge. It will take us something like, yeah, no, it makes a number like that, crazy. That many years. So, guys, so this little example of a symmetric encryption with a key of 128 bits is computationally secure because who's gonna be able, who has gazillion years to try all the combination of this for just breaking this? Impossible, guys. So I hope this gives you like a good illustrate the concept that I'm trying to show you. And then let's also express computational security using two values, right? And so you can express well, actually we're gonna go back to this example, so let me just make some space. Okay, and let me just write down that we can express with two variables. One is t, okay, and t is literally the limit on the number of operations that the attacker can try. So on a number of attacker actions. Okay, you got the idea. And then the second variable that we can express computational security is this one, epsilon. Okay, and let me see. And that's the limit of the probability of such success of each, let's call it attack or operation, okay? And they're just limits, okay? So we can say, so we express computational security as followed. So we say that a cipher is, what is it, t comma epsilon dash secure. Okay, I just gave you some theory, some definition. Let's look at something practical, a practical example. Also, no attacker performing fewer than t attacks. Okay, no attacker performing fewer than t attacks will succeed. Okay, so we consider t as the max number of attacks, okay, when talking about the computational security. Also, one good point that the author makes is that when scientists, researchers are defining a cryptographic algorithm, and so are looking to the security of it, they really build it with the hope that the only possible viable attack against the cryptographic cipher is brute force and not other types of attacks. Why? Because other types of attacks, as you can recall, brute force just means try everything until you get right? It's like trying all the keys until you get randomly, until you get one. That's brute force. And so they hope that brute force is the only viable attack, because that means that, because why? Because other kinds of attack imply that there's a flaw in the algorithm, some internal flaw, right, that kind of messes up everything. While as brute force is just a straight going against the wall, and I'm punching this wall until I tear it down and I can, you know what I mean? And so that's why again, scientists that design this algorithm have in mind that, you know, brute force would be the only viable attack, because it's also easy to quantify how much brute force you have to do. And that's where you get to the practical and impractical scenario, meaning, oh, it will take me 1 billion years to brute force this, or it will take me a week, right? So that's a point that the author makes about brute forcing, about how brute force is the best possible attack for cipher creators, if I can put it that way. So let's consider that again, that example of this cipher. So we have a ciphertext, which is given by encrypting an encryption function on a key with some plain text. Okay, the key is 120. Oh my god, I have to write up here. Yeah, 128 bits. Okay, so we can consider. So we can say that, according to this definition of computational secure, that this is a T, since the key is 128 bits, we say that this is T to the 2 of 128, which is the value of epsilon. Secure. So let's go a little bit to do some practical scenarios. So let's consider 3 scenarios, right? When the attacker takes 3 different approaches to attack this cipher. So scenario number 1. The attacker, so we consider T, right? We manipulate T. So let's consider T equals 1, okay? So with T equals 1 means that the attacker tries 1 key, okay? The attacker tries 1 key and he hopes to decrypt. That's like the strategy. My strategy, I'm an attacker, is to try 1 key, like guess it right, okay? Kind of a lottery attack, we can call it. So if the attacker tries 1 key, his probability will be of probability, now it's gonna make sense. Probability will be of 1 over 2 to the 128. Oops. Okay? Guys, new marker coming tomorrow evening, so maybe the next 2 videos will be on. I'm excited. So the probability, right, makes sense. You have 1 chance out of this many keys, because we have total keys. Possible keys, right? And so the probability to getting on the first try is 1 over that huge number. Makes sense how you're gonna guess the key right on the first try. And so, and remember always T is always between 1 and 2 to the 128, okay? It can be bigger. Now, case number 2. Let's go them faster a little bit, because you're getting the gist of it. In the case number 2, the attacker is gonna try 2 to the 128 keys. Am I right? So it's gonna, so it's the opposite of this situation. Here only tries 1, here tries all of them, right? So the attacker tries all of the keys. Now guess what the probability is? The probability is 1. Why? Because it's gonna be 2 to the 128 over 2 to the 128, which simplify, and will give you 1, okay? And so, what's the third situation? The third situation is that, let's kind of do in between. The third situation is that the attacker tries half of the keys, right? So T is gonna be 2 to the 64, okay? What's the probability here? Again, we just simply it's gonna be 2 to the 64 over 2 to the 128, which gives me 1 over 2 to the 64, which means it's 2 to the minus 64. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay? So, just make sure I'm not missing anything. Alright, so given to this, we gave 3 different situations, right? So let's give a broader definition and conclude this, how can I say? Lost the train of thought, but let's conclude this. So we can generalize this and say that a cipher, make sure I read it correctly, a cipher, can I just write it here? Yeah. I'll write it big. Cipher, I hope yeah, it's good. I hope so, because I was looking if the camera was getting everything. The cipher with an n-bit key. So n-bit key cipher. An n-bit key cipher, which was 128 in our example, is at best T and T to the 2 to the N secure. Okay? The author makes a good point. It says, in this example, we're counting the number of evaluations of the cipher, not the absolute time or number of process or clock cycles. Okay? Very important. Computational security is technology agnostic, which is good. A cipher that is T epsilon secure today will be T epsilon secure tomorrow. But what's considered secure in practice today might not be considered secure tomorrow. So keep in mind this is technology agnostic, okay? And remember the T is between 1 and 2 to the N, okay? That's how T. Okay, so n-bit key cipher. Okay, where T is this? Oh, a bit crowded. A bit crowded the board today, but that's it. We introduced this concept of cryptographical security. It's a new chapter. And then next time, we're gonna go ahead and dig a little bit deeper into quantifying security. Measuring security in bits. We'll talk about full attack cost, parallelism, memory, pre-computation, number of targets, and choosing and evaluating security level. And so this whole chapter is all about cipher and cryptographical security. Moving on from this, again, remember how cryptographic security versus computer security. Cryptographic security is quantifiable, computer security is not. We talked about what it means that an attacker, it's impossible to break a cipher. What does impossible mean? And we say that we can define impossible in the context of informational and computational security. Informational, if even remotely is possible to break a cipher, then that's what it deals with. And computational is in practice with the equipment that I have, with the computational power that a human has in real life, how safe is there. And then we went ahead and see how we can express computational security using these two variables, the operations and the probability of success. And so we saw if we mount an attack of T1, of only one try, or an attack with all tries or with half tries, we see how things change, and kind of generalize everything into this concept that an n-bit key cipher is at best T, T over 2 to the n secure. Okay? T can only be between 1 and 2 to the n. Alright guys, thank you for watching, thank you. I really appreciate you learning with me, and that's it. I'm just gonna keep studying, keep recording, and we're gonna learn, we won't be cryptography masters, because the more I study this, the more I realize how deep this science is and how complex it is, but we'll definitely be cryptography literate, if that makes sense. We'll have a solid foundation to that. Either dig more deep or just like, you know, go into other realms of computer security with this confidence of knowing cryptography in our head. And that's it. Thank you so much again for following me, following my videos, especially if you watched until now. You're hardcore, you deserve to be learning this, and please shoot me a comment or get in touch with me, you know what I mean, like interact, ask, discuss, and support if you think this is cool. Alright guys, see you next time, bye bye.